Hey everybody, it's Beth. Today I'm using a 14-inch wreath frame from Dollar Tree, chunky yarn from Walmart, and ribbon from Amazon. I took the ribbon and hot glued it to the wired frame, and this ribbon is 2.5-inch wired ribbon. I then take the chunky yarn and hot glue that on top of the ribbon. I then start taking the yarn and wrapping it through the wired frame and around that ribbon. I ended up doing it 4 times, wrapping it around 4 times. I then take the ribbon and flip it over so I can wrap the yarn underneath it, right onto the wired frame. I do this 4 times, and then I take the ribbon again and push that over the yarn, and then go back and wrap it around 4 times over the ribbon. So I just continued this until I had the frame completely covered, just 4 times around the frame, and then 4 times on top of the ribbon. Once I got just about to the end, I cut off the ribbon and then hot glued that down onto the yarn so it stayed into place. I'm cutting off the excess. So this section will be a little bit larger than the rest, but it'll be covered by a bow. So I just fill in the rest of that area with the yarn and then hot glue it in the back. Next, I'm making a bow, so I take 2 different style ribbons. Again, the ribbon was from Amazon, and I'm cutting strips about 16 or 17 inches. I cut 3 of each design, so 6 total. I then make a loop, it's about 9 inches, and I hot glue the 2 ends of the ribbon down, so you'll have this loop that is glued into place with a longer tail. I do this to each of the 6 pieces of ribbon. I then take each piece and I bunch it where I had glued that loop, and then I just keep them going in my hands, pinching them and collecting them all together. I then take a pipe cleaner and wrap it around where I'm holding it and pull that nice and tight and twist it and wrap it around itself a few times, leaving it long, and then open up all of the loops. And then set that aside because I realized I needed a hanger, so I just take another piece of the yarn, wrap a loop around that larger section of yarn on the top, and then hot glue it into place on the back. And then take the bow and put it where I'm gonna want it to be set, and then push those pipe cleaners through the yarn to the back, twist them a few times and cut off the excess. And then open up all of those loops and trim up the tails. That is it for this project. Thank you so much for watching.